Hey guys, my name is Sydney, also known as Cities on YouTube, and welcome to my channel. So I have an explanation of why I didn't upload on Monday, and I am kicking myself right now because I didn't upload. I had a video that I filmed with the same title. It was still like my social anxiety story, and I just feel like it's too long and it's too boring. It's over 20 minutes long and I wanted to cut it down a little bit. So I'm gonna upload this for you guys this week. So I wanted to mention also another disclaimer of why I haven't posted up a Shy People Problems video in over the last few weeks. And I did have one filmed weeks and weeks ago, and I ended up reformatting the card that it was on. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it anymore, but I will be filming it again tomorrow actually, so I am pumped for that. And if you are new to my channel and you haven't seen the Shy People Problems series that I'm posting, I would highly suggest that you check it out. It's pretty similar to this topic that I am talking about today, only it's kind of me talking about and reenacting some of the awkward shy situations that I've been through, and I'd really love if you guys checked it out. So I mentioned in the previous video that I filmed that I was pretty nervous in filming this video, and I am, because I'm letting you guys in on a huge part of my life and who I am, and that is scary because I'm uploading it onto social media platform for everyone to see. I've never talked about this before to just anyone in real life. So how I did film the other Shy People Problems video that I was going to upload on Monday is that I basically told my entire life story and how social anxiety kind of was a part of my life, and then I kind of added in some tips and solutions that I have going into my next school year, which, by the way, I'm taking a year off this year and I'm going to a different school next year. So in this video I'll be incorporating some advice that I have for myself and just relating it to some experiences that I've had in my life. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little confusing, but I think you'll get it once we dive into it. But the reason I was going to film this video is not only to let you guys know a little bit more about myself, but I was also thinking about this a few weeks ago, and I was thinking about what changes am I going to make that will differentiate my experiences from my last school year into the school year coming up. And so that's another main reason why I decided I wanted to film this video and share it with you guys as well. So one of my first tips that I had for myself in my video was not to be so negative. And I think I've been improving on this in the last few months. I have been very negative for most of my life, and I feel like I'm just an overthinker, and I like to see the negativity in a situation, and it prevents me from doing certain things like going to a drive-through and being able to go to that exact same drive-through the next day without feeling like, oh, but the people will recognize me and yada yada, whatever negativity kind of goes through my head, which is crazy to think that I can't go to the same drive-through to get a coffee the next day at the same place without thinking something negative. And I've always had sort of like shy label when someone referred to me, whether it was on my report card from school, in elementary school, or, you know, a family friend or family member or a not so close friend, always kind of had this shy label on me. And I allowed that to kind of define who I was instead of kind of stepping outside of that. And I think I always saw my shyness as a negative thing, which it is in some ways, but in another sense, it does kind of make up a part of who I am, and I really don't feel like that there's so much wrong with it as much, or at least as much as I was thinking in my head. Like I said before, negativity has prevented me from doing certain things that I've longed to do, or has made me quit the activities that I like doing, just simply because people probably think I'm weird because I am so quiet, or these people probably hate the fact that they have to work with me on this project because again, I'm so quiet and sometimes it is harder for me to put my input in a project just because I'm very nervous all the time and I don't feel like my ideas are that good compared to the rest of my group mates. And I really think that's where negativity ties in with my social anxiety. My second tip is not to overthink things so much, which is easier said than done. And I know I included this in my last tip a little bit, but I wanted to expand on that a bit. When I mean overthinking, I think about the times where I was overthinking the way I was walking in school, or the way that I was blinking so much, or wherever I looked, I didn't want to look too long or catch the eye of someone else because they'll think that I'm staring at them, or just overthinking everything from the way I make hand movements to the way I don't know, breathe sometimes. Am I breathing too heavy? Or the way I even eat. I'm one of those people that will kind of eat like this. And I know there's quite a few people that do that as well. I really just feel like I need to be more conscious about that. And I was going somewhere the other day where I'm like, oh my gosh, what if the people recognize me in the store, because I was just at the store. And before going into that store, I just had to like sit in my car for a second, and I had to think to myself, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? And of course I have like a million one thoughts about that, but I just kind of pumped myself up for having this who cares kind of attitude, which helped me go into that store and get my stuff done and not care about whether or not the cash register recognized me from being there earlier or what have you. And so that helped me as well. But I really feel like that this overthinking mentality really started to grow excessively once I got into high school, and because it was such a bigger environment, like it was a bigger school obviously compared to elementary school, I really feel like that's where that overthinking attitude came in. There's so much more people, it's so much different than being younger, and I think that's where those fears really started for me. It also kind of followed me into my college years, which I am currently in right now, and I've just noticed myself specifically last year, I think it was last school year, where I started not being able to breathe when I walked into the school just because I was overthinking so much. And so I'd have to stop at every restroom on my way to my classroom just to take a breath, and that was really hard for me. And I just started stuttering too, which I've never experienced before. So I really just feel like last year was like an all-time low for me with my social anxiety. So my third tip, I think I'm on 3. My third tip to myself is to speak up a little bit louder. I have been known to have a quiet voice. I have been told all of my life. I'm sure those of you who are shy or have social anxiety are familiar with the popular saying, what did you say? I've literally heard that all my life, and when I speak louder, I feel like I'm yelling, but I need to practice that, because I don't know, do you guys go through the same thing, that when you do speak louder, kind of feels like you're yelling? And so that's always been something that I feel like I need to practice. So I'm probably gonna start practicing that this summer. My fourth tip is not to set my goals so high in terms of my social anxiety. I didn't really mention to you guys when I found out I had social anxiety, like what were the symptoms that I experienced. I'm pretty much talking about the symptoms that I've had overall throughout this video, but I had done research on social anxiety, I think in my grade 12 year of high school, and then I was actually diagnosed with it by a doctor. I had already kind of self-diagnosed myself, which I don't know if you think that means much or not, but I was actually diagnosed by a doctor in my let's say in college. I feel like my first year of college, at the end of my first year, when I had decided to cut my course load in half because I just kind of had enough at that point. So she had diagnosed me with social anxiety, and I had taken a medication for it, and that was a very sleepy time in my life because I was literally asleep for those many months that I was taking the medication until I decided that I'm gonna get off of it because I was just really depressed and asleep all the time and in my room all the time. So yeah, I thought I would mention that because I know it probably wouldn't have come up any other way in this video. So it was at a time where I was finding the most discreet way to leave the school when school was out so I wouldn't have to walk through the crowds because my anxiety was just at an all-time high, and I had completely distanced myself from my friends that I had hung out with in my freshman and sophomore year, who I guess you could say kept me from having nervous breakdowns. And so coming from a time where I chose not to go to my prom or my high school graduation, and then going into my college years saying that I'll have some 360-degree change where, you know, I'll be spur going and stuff like that is really way too high a goal. And I really feel like setting little goals for yourself where you can still push yourself to achieve those goals are a great way to start out, whether it's, you know, smiling and saying hi as you see someone that you recognize walking down the hall, or you know, asking for help when you need help from a teacher instead of kind of just letting your questions slip into the background. I really just feel like little goals like that will not only make you feel better, like you're actually doing something to improve your shyness, which you are, but you're also creating goals that are achievable. And that's not what I had done. I had told myself that this was a chance for me to make a 360-degree change, and that ended up not happening. And I remember going into college the first year, the very first day, and having a conversation with, you know, the people beside me in my class, and it went well for the first few minutes, and then it kind of just dropped, and that's kind of where I left off through that entire semester of school, for that entire school year, and through the second year as well. And that's kind of one of the main reasons that I decided to switch schools. I thought I would talk a little bit more about my college years without actually linking it to any more advice that I have, because those are my main tips and advice for myself, and hopefully you guys use it as well. Let me know in the comments below also if you use my advice. But I thought I would kind of tell you guys where I'm at right now, because I am in college right now. Like I said, going into my college years, I had set the bar really high for myself, and I ended up kind of failing the goal that I had set for myself. So in my first year of college, I didn't really talk to too many people in my class. For the most part, I kind of just spent my 3-hour breaks that we had in between classes in the library. Like, I would not go and get lunch or anything like that. I was just so nervous. And again, it's even bigger than high school environment, which was overwhelming for me. And I started experiencing panic attacks where, like, my parents or my brother would have to come and get me and pick me up from school because I'd gotten them quite often. And I'd also developed a stutter, like I mentioned before, which I'd never experienced before. And I remember to this day that I was getting camera equipment for a project that I was doing, and when I was talking to the person to sign out the camera equipment, I just started stuttering, and I had no idea where it came from. I was on the verge of crying, and I was frustrated with myself at that point. And I decided that I'm going to cut my course load in half. I wasn't having it. I had just gotten diagnosed with social anxiety, and I ended up going into my second year kind of going through the same thing. Like, nothing had really changed. I was skipping a lot of classes. I wasn't paying attention in class. I felt like I wasn't contributing, and I wasn't asking questions when I needed help. And at that point, it was just kind of rock bottom for me. I really wasn't enjoying the course, and I really wanted to enjoy the course because this was something that I had longed for years, since I think grade 5. And the course that I'm taking is film and television production, and I've always had a love for movies and television shows. So from grade 5, I always knew I wanted to be a writer, like writing scripts. And in high school, I knew I wanted to do editing, and I knew I wanted to do producing as well. So knowing that this shyness was preventing me from achieving my goal is what really got me frustrated. And I know someone might ask, you know, why don't you try something else? Why don't you go into another career and stuff like that? I've tested out other careers before, but at the end of the day, I just feel like I don't want my life to be defined by my social anxiety. And I think that's exactly what was happening. And so I've kind of been working my way out of it throughout the years, although sometimes I feel like I'm failing at it. However, one thing that I noticed about myself is ever since I was younger, I feel like I've always kind of been a little bit of a risk taker, especially when I was younger in elementary school. I would like do activities that I wanted to do, and I would like do plays or volunteer to be in front of the class for presentations when I was in elementary school, despite how nervous I was feeling inside. So I'm trying to get back into that sort of mentality that I had in elementary school. Because I just think that was really cool how I was able to kind of counteract what I was feeling inside and do what I wanted to do. And so that's the kind of mindset that I'm trying to have now. One thing for me though is simply not just being scared to talk to people, it's just simply having nothing to say when I do get the chance to talk to someone. I'm good at talking with certain people, but not everyone, and that is one of my struggles right now. So that's another thing, another tip that I have for myself is to just practice with that. And I think a great way of practicing that is through YouTube as well. I think that's a really great way of just seeing how other people react, and not even just YouTube, but going out in my community, despite how scared I am to go outside by myself a lot of the times. Being able to go out and just watch how other people interact, which sounds a little bit creepy, but you get the point. So I decided to take a year off this year. I had pretty much just been completely done with the course that I was taking, and to be honest with you, as much as I feel like I kind of failed myself, I felt relieved leaving that school, because I just felt like I never felt so unhappy with how everything was kind of turning out with me until I was in that college environment. So I took a year off. I've just kind of been working on things and starting this YouTube channel, which I kind of regret posting every time I post. I literally like cringe every time I post. I don't watch back any of the videos that I post. So if there's a few mistakes in the videos, I'm sorry. It's because I can't watch them back at this moment in time. But yeah, that is where I'm at right now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was hard for me to film, but I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys subscribe as well, because it literally makes my day when I see a new subscriber kind of subscribe onto these videos that I think are really cringeworthy, but you guys probably think are funny. So I really hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say. So I'll see you guys next week Monday, I promise. Bye. Kind of stupidness at me watching here. Idiot.